One of the several movies I remember well yet hadn't watched in years is this one, and it was pretty interesting to revisit it after so long. Walt Disney's Alice in Wonderland was released in theaters in 1951 and was based off of the book by Lewis Carroll, who also wrote Alice Through the Looking Glass. Like Cinderella and the movies after this, Alice in Wonderland made the company a fortune, keeping them financially stable. It's personally one of my favorites, at least in this era, but despite that, it has some problems. Just some minor problems. So before we have the Tweedle twins pop out of nowhere and get in our way, let's begin the plot synopsis. The movie starts off in Oxford, England. Outside in a park is Alice with the company of her older sister. That's right, sister. According to Lewis Carroll's book, The Credits, and the Disney Wikipedia, this woman is her sister. I thought this was her mother. She looks like she's in her 20s or 30s. Alice's sister, who's voiced by Heather Angel, is trying to help her with her history lesson. Alice tunes out and starts singing over her, imagining a world of her own. Alice is voiced by Catherine Beaumont, the same actress who voiced Wendy in Peter Pan. All of a sudden, Alice spots a rabbit in clothes voiced by Bill Thompson. She follows him into a rabbit hole which leads to a drop that was dug by someone who hasn't heard of the number one rule: never dig straight down. We just appreciate that for a moment. Instead of screaming, she just says goodbye to her cat as if she's like, I guess this is my life now. She then hits the bottom and is now stuck in a room. It turns out that since she gave her sister a hard time and wouldn't do her homework, she must complete a series of saw traps by none other than John Kramer himself.
Hello, Alice. I want to play a game. You are now stuck in a room with only one exit. To get the key, you must drink from this bottle that will shrink your size. The key will then appear onto the table. Once it does, you must pick the right snickerdoodle that will make you bigger, but the three others are poisoned. You have 5 minutes to complete this puzzle. Let the game begin.
After this scene, Alice meets Tweedledee and Tweedledum, both voiced by Pat O'Malley, and they tell her a story of a walrus kidnapping children, but since they're delaying her from finding a white rabbit, Alice sneaks away. She finds the rabbit's house and then eats something that she doesn't know is safe, and this proves it. She then shrinks, follows the rabbit again, and finds herself in a garden of flowers, all of whom have personalities like the elephants in Dumbo.
Just look at those stems!
Rather scrawny, I'd say.
I think she's pretty.
Quiet, Bud.
Bitch, you let Bud speak! She then talks to an advice-giving and drug-loving caterpillar who encourages Alice to try mushrooms. Afterwards, Alice gets lost and asks for directions from the Cheshire Cat, voiced by Sterling Holloway, who voiced Adult Flower and Bambi, the stork from Dumbo, and of course, Roquefort from Aristocats. He helps Alice in some way, and points Alice into the direction of the Mad Hatter. No, not the one from Batman. The Mad Hatter is voiced by Ed Wynn, who played Uncle Albert in Mary Poppins, and the March Hare is voiced by Jerry Colonna. Not gonna lie, I like Johnny Depp's Mad Hatter more. I'd also like to mention this line.
When I get home, I shall write a book about this place.
Alice then decides to go home, but then starts having a mental breakdown. But thanks to the Cheshire Cat, he opens a shortcut so that Alice can go see the Queen of Hearts, who's voiced by Verna Felton. She's a lean, mean bitch machine and always asks to speak to your manager. She interrupts Alice and wants to play croquet, which ends horribly thanks to the Cheshire Cat. But before the Queen can chop off Alice's head and fantasize over the redness in her blood, the King suggests to give her a trial, but not listening to others' advices, particularly the caterpillar, Alice loses her temper, and to cap it all off, the Cheshire Cat screws her over. The characters Alice comes across join the chase as she runs for her life. The door she came out of is locked again, but tells her that she's actually dreaming. She then wakes up thanks to her sister, and after accepting how big her imagination is, her sister takes Alice home so they can have tea, unaware that she might be the next for the jigsaw trap for leaving the toilet seat up. The end. So let's talk about the movie. Rewatching it again only changes my opinion just by an inch. First off, as a kid, I didn't know that this had a hidden meaning about listening to advice, which kind of haunts me because it's out in the open, like the characters actually say it out loud. I have a small problem with that though, and it's mainly due to who I had as a parental figure, so I'm gonna say this. Yes, you should listen to people's advice, but if it's stupid and it's only going to lead you into trouble, just smile and nod. Seriously, there's people out there who are either not aware of how wrong their advice is, or they're just trying to screw you over. So in order to pick and listen to the right advice, you're going to have to know between right and wrong. The weakest part of the film is the Walrus and the Carpenter story. Although it teaches a lesson to not trust strangers, I can't help but feel that this is some kind of leftover from Make Mine music. Another negative is that a lot of the characters are just in and out, like the Tweedles and... okay, just the Tweedles. And I guess the Dodo, but he appears 3 times. My case in point is that all the characters except for Alice, the Cheshire Cat, the White Rabbit, and Crazy Bitch have no exact importance to the movie other than to express the universe's weirdness. This is why I sort of like the live action version more, because it still expresses randomness, yet puts the characters into use. However, I'm excusing all this because, well, that's sort of the point. The world Alice stumbles across is to represent the world she preferred. What if nothing made sense? The answer, it wouldn't work. For nothing to make sense makes it hard to get around and live. In fact, Alice wasn't living. She was only existing because everything is so random. Everyone cuts off each other, gets in her way, or makes it hard for her to do anything, which in turn makes her prefer the world she had, which had customs, laws, and routines. Makes sense, doesn't it? I think the role Alice has makes her stand out from literally every single character Disney has created. She has no royalty, she was never raised by animals, and she has no magical powers. She's just a girl from Oxford who had a nightmare, and personally, I find that unique. I guess you could say the same thing for Wendy if it wasn't for her family seeing this cloud. Every other character in this movie I can't exactly comment on because they all fulfilled their roles as odd, but with the additional compliment of how fantastic the voice actors were. If it wasn't for IMDb and the end credits, I wouldn't have been able to tell that this was Verna Felton, the same actress who played the fairy godmother in Cinderella. My favorite scene in this movie is the ending chase. Coming from someone who had the most bizarre dreams out there, I can confirm that this is what it's like. The animators and artists did a fantastic job portraying dreams in animated form. Well, I guess that's all there is left to talk about other than the songs. There's about 9 of these, which is probably the most songs we've gotten in a Disney movie so far, and it makes sense seeing as how there's around 20 other deleted songs. As always, I'll be ranking them from worst to best. In 9th and last place is The Walrus and the Carpenter. The tune goes all over the place and it's slow in general. In 8th place, How Do You Do and Shake Hands. It's kind of obnoxious when taken out of context.
How do you do and shake hands, shake hands, shake hands. How do you do and shake hands, state your name and business. That's manners.
7th place, I'm Late. It's very short yet kind of simple and catchy. 6th place, Very Good Advice. It's kind of pretty sounding even though it's supposed to be a sad moment, and Catherine Beaumont didn't even have to try in order for it to sound like that. 5th place, The Unbirthday Song. I only docked it so low because this note they hit, whether intentional or not, was irritating. 4th place, Painting the Roses Red. It's very catchy and that part at the end was pretty dark. 3rd place, Alice in Wonderland. The chorus is very angelic, and that opening will always get stuck in my head, especially that ending where Alice and her sister are going home. In 2nd place, World of My Own. This is no doubt the best song Catherine Beaumont sang. It's very calming, beautiful, and it's on my list for top 100 Disney songs. But there's one more that's better than this. 1st place, Golden Afternoon. If I ranked this any lower, I probably would have been shot. There's a reason it's on everybody's list. It's majestic with the chorus, the vocals, and the notes. Best song in Alice in Wonderland. So that was my Alice in Wonderland review. It's kind of in between, depending what form of entertainment you like. If you like cartoonish randomness, then this movie's for you. But if you like randomness with a hint of story plot, then the live-action remake would be the better choice. But for me, it's on par with Cinderella. I'm giving the 1951 Alice in Wonderland movie a big 7 out of 10. Alright, 2 good movies in a row. No doubt Peter Pan will win my support, right? Maybe? We'll have to get back to that, because we'll be taking a break and be reviewing Disney sequels, Bambi 2 and Cinderella 2 and 3.